guess if you go to like a shoe site or but I thought it'd be pretty
Is the
cool.
world really ready for a scratch and sniff iPad? I don't know.
I am. I would want fire smell right now. I would love to have the scent of real
But
fire.
what happens if your smoke alarm goes off?
Yeah, what? That only happens when I cook. That's only when I cook.
You must know my wife.
Yeah, I mean, some people call their family to dinner with the dinner bell. I use the fire alarm. Um,
Yes, what are we having today? Charcoal.
Charcoal. And but on the apps, I'm always looking for apps that help in business to take business on the road, because I think when we first got iPads, they're just giant iPods for a long time, and a lot of people really don't take advantage of all the great apps that are on, that are available. I've spent quite a bit of money and I download tons of apps, but there's still a lot that are free or low cost, and some of them are just silly apps like that fireplace one, or my Pee Wee Herman app that plays different Pee Wee Herman. Larry, the other day I was sharing some of my Pee Wee Herman apps, sound bites. But there really are a lot of great tools available on iPhones, Android phones. A lot of them now coming to BlackBerry. But I always encourage people to go just shop around, just browse your app store, check out some of the featured apps, and see which ones could solve a business problem that you have on the road.
Yeah, it actually is amazing how many apps are out there, and every day you can find new one. I forgot what the number is on the iPad, but there are tons, and the Android market's getting just about an equal number. Not as fast, but they're getting there. And now that Androids are actually outselling the iPhone if you group all the Androids together, I think we have a little bit of competition going on, which is a good thing.
It is. Right now, the Android market, when you go to their marketplace, it's still really hard unless you know the specific app you're looking for to find anything. So, they're really working on a whole search system, a better search system, and organizing those apps in the Android store. So that's been fun. But every time I hear about one, I'm downloading or checking it out, which I think is what the problem was with the phone that I had all the problems with and had to exchange it. I think I downloaded some bad apps. So, definitely you want to read some reviews on apps before you just download them if you haven't heard someone else that's using it, because just because they're in the marketplace doesn't mean they're safe to download.
So are you saying one bad app can ruin the whole bunch?
Oh,
Oh,
the rim shop. Ba-ding. I think I got some bad apps.
bad
But,
apps.
Nothing little Twitter, Samsung tech support couldn't help.
Now, one thing you were talking about business card apps, and I think you were talking about card scanning.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. And actually, I believe Larry might have been the one that wrote in with that request of business card apps. And I have to say, I have had a lot of fun playing with business card apps. And there is one called, let me find it, because I just last night was playing around with this and scanned business cards and really like it. It's taking a picture of the card with your phone, and it's available on Apple and Android. Sorry, BlackBerry users. Although I'm sure they have
They have them on the BlackBerry
scanners.
too. That's what we used
Yeah.
at the show. The nice thing about what we
Good.
did at the show, not only can you scan the card, then you can type in comments right afterwards, so you can
That's right.
make that contact a little bit more specific to what you're doing.
Right. And then it files it in your regular contacts. This one is called World Card Mobile. And World Card, it's very, very simple. When you open up the camera and snap the picture, it's really clear. It even cropped it in. It just was really amazingly easy. And then it asks how you want to save it in your contacts, or do you just want the phone number, and you get to pick pieces of it, and boom, it's in your contacts. And no, what's funny is, maybe 2 years ago, I went and bought one of the little business card scanners that scans in and adds it to your contacts, and I think I paid a couple $100 for it. So, it is funny when you look at all the things that we have purchased too quickly before other better things came out. And business card scanners are one of them. I have a regular scanner that will do both scanner, but when you're on the road, you're at a conference, this is the way to go. Or ask people if they know how to bump, if they have the bump app, because that's even better.
Now, have you tried that Bump app?
I use it all the time.
And it
Every
works.
time I go to a conference. And what's cool, Bump app, for those of you who don't know, it's an app you download. It's free on Android and iPhone, and they're compatible. So if somebody has an iPhone and I have my Android, I open up the Bump app, and first you set it up with all of your contact information, links to your social media sites. So you put everything you want to share upon meeting someone, and then you literally bump phones. You open the apps and then bump phones, and it transfers, it swaps contact information and files it in your contacts. That's my favorite. The problem is most people don't have it yet. But at
Now,
conferences, it's great.
both sides have to have it, right?
Both sides have to have it. So you do have to have two people with their phones, open the apps, and then bump. But
So-
works great. I love that app.
I don't know. This is kind of an interesting world. We've got scratch and sniff iPads. We're bumping our phones together. This is interesting.
Well, there's one that I'm going to check out. A friend of mine, Neen James, she has an iPhone, so it's only available on Apple products right now, iPhone and iPad, and it's called Flick. And you can flick a document. So if I have a document, which Bump can do that as well. You can bump and send documents or photos, but this one is different in that you flick certain things to someone else who has the same app
Interesting.
open.
Now, do you have to be line of sight? Do you have to make sure that they are in your line of sight?
Now, see, the one she discussed, I have never tried. I'm going to try it on my iPad with her next week when we're both in Atlanta. But I've done Bump, and you have to physically bump.
Okay.
The phones.
Oh, you
But on
actually
the Flick,
do-
I think you probably have
interesting.
to be close enough. And I'm wondering if you have to be on the same network, or I guess that wouldn't make sense. You wouldn't have to be on the same Wi-Fi network if you're on your phone, but there's got to be some distance
I imagine so.
to it.
So when you
Yeah.
bump the phones, you just say cheers, and all of a sudden you share all contact information.
Yeah, and some people get carried away and really rap knuckles with you, and then you're in pain. You know, you just have to.
We had a funny thing happen at the booth when I was at the Adobe show. It was actually pretty funny. One of the people went up to one of the guys who happened to be single and not a bad looking guy, and when he said, "Let me scan your badge," so she takes out her hotel room key, and he looks at her and goes, "Seriously?" At which point she turned about 3,000 shades of red and pulled out her real card, but that was great. Only a single guy could just come out with "Seriously." It was actually pretty funny.
That was a good response.
Yeah, it was funny watching. Why is she turning all red? Oh,
Put that hotel key away.
yeah.
But I think we're ready for our final.
Uh-oh. It's that music time again, and it's Dear Schreck.
Dear Schreck.
All right, Dear Schreck, it is
Dear
your time
Schreck.
to give people good advice.
That's right. And this is actually a dilemma that many businesses are experiencing. And Rick, this will be an interesting one for us to discuss because we had differing opinions. Well, I don't know if opinions, but we had different thoughts on this one. So here it is. Here's the dilemma. Dear Schreck, our company has a Facebook fan page, or otherwise known as a page, and we turned off the ability to let fans comment. We've heard that if you allow fans to comment, you'll get a lot of spam and negative comments posted on your page. Now I've heard people complain, asking why we won't let them comment, and I'm wondering if this is a good thing. I think this is a really interesting social media dilemma that companies are facing. Number one, because everyone's jumping on the bandwagon, creating Facebook pages without really thinking through who's going to manage these. Because you have to manage a business page every day. As a matter of fact, the bigger the company, several times throughout the day. It's like anything else. You have to have somebody watching that page for comments, just like a blog. I think too many people write a blog and then they never read the comments that people post and reply. Well, this is a dilemma because if you think about, in my opinion, I'll give my side first, if you're going to create a fan page on Facebook, a business page, the reason you're typically doing this is because you want engagement with your fans, with your community. So if you work really hard to build this great page and you invite people to come and like your page and then you put duct tape over their mouth, which I just recently wrote a blog post about that, you're really defeating the main purpose of the page. So if you're monitoring your page daily, you can see if somebody posts spam and remove the comment. Remove the spam. if they post a negative comment, I always say don't remove it quickly. Talk to the person, contact them, ask them if you can call them directly to resolve the problem. And then if you really feel that it's a bad comment, I would rather, as a consumer, see that somebody had a problem and the company replied and fixed the problem. And that's a really good, I think, example of customer service and being vulnerable out there and being transparent in how you deal with problems. But Rick, what have you heard? What do you think?
It's interesting. If you read some of the books, they say don't do that because then you can't control the message. So I guess it becomes a question of control versus openness. It's interesting. Some companies really want to control the message, especially some of the large companies. On the other hand, I see the point of, yeah, keep it open and come what may. Look at Amazon. They've made a fortune allowing people to post, good or bad, and there are some real bad posts out there. I know I've done a couple. And it works out really well. So it's kind of a 50-50 depending on the company and depending on how much they really want to control. Can you imagine Apple actually doing that, where they make something open?
See, and here's what's interesting. Apple wouldn't create a Facebook page because
True.
they don't want to be open with that. They don't want comments like that. They don't want to have to monitor that. So really, I feel like if you don't want to manage the transparent conversations, you shouldn't build a Facebook page. Create a website. Have people go to your website. I feel like if you're going to go to Facebook, which is a social medium, you need to be social and you need to allow people to comment or post things, but you do have to regularly monitor that. There is, it's not Ben and Jerry's, it's the other ice cream, maybe it's Cold Stone. They have a really active Facebook page, super active. I mean, millions of fans, comments, tons of comments every day. But you can tell nobody really monitors that page because there's lots of spam. I mean, you see a picture of a scantily clad woman saying, contact me. I mean, that's on their page, on their Facebook page. So to me, if a company is going to really manage their brand, they need to watch that page. They need to remove obvious spam. And I would even put a disclaimer on a big company page. I would put a disclaimer. We encourage your conversations here. However, if it's spammy or inappropriate, we have the right to remove it. But I think that is a really big dilemma that companies are facing. There's a company my husband works at that right now they're struggling. They had a community manager managing all their social media, and they're in transition. She moved into another position, and for the last month, I just looked at their page and I thought, they're not watching. They have all kinds of comments that were inappropriate, and then they turned off. That was a couple weeks ago, and then they turned off the ability to let people post. To me, it shows that you're antisocial. But
Well, what happens if you are antisocial but want to be sociable?
well, then you need to go to, instead of Facebook, go to the back of the head book.
Back of the head book?
Or talk to the handbook. Maybe we need to start that. Rick, there's a new business.
That's right. Dear
Talk
me.
to the handbook.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
it's interesting. I think that's a dilemma that companies have to first step back before they launch a Facebook page and ask, why do we want to be on Facebook?
Any comments in the chat room about
Chat
that?
room, let's see. Control is bad. Freedom is good. Good comment. Yeah, isn't the website is for pushing out information. You know, that's where you control your content. So that's a good point.
That is a good point.
Keyword is social. Absolutely. Keep out of social media if you want control, and keep out control freaks. Let in social media. I really think part of the problem stems from not really having a goal before you launch into social media tools. So they jump in, create the page because they think they should, but they don't really know what is the purpose of being on here. It really, to me, a social media page, on Facebook especially, is a community environment where you're allowing people to talk about you. Now, companies that are afraid to hear what people have to say about them, I always tell them, they're talking about you, whether it's on your page or on someone else's page.
Good point.
So on your page, you have some control over what can be on there, and it allows you to hear what's going on and fix problems that might arise. But a lot of times people just say really cool, nice things, and if they have a problem, though, gives you an opportunity to fix it.
Well, there's another thing that goes on. To a certain point, the pages are self-policing. If you have a good fan page or any kind of place where you can make comments, You may get your occasional jerk who has no reason other than to say something bad, and they get flamed by the other people. I've
That's
seen
right.
that happen.
Right. And, you know, and